This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the new media production studio. The lead stories are $1 trillion in losses. No, I'm not talking about the U.S. government. 11,000 employees to be laid off at Meta. Apple has bowed to the Chinese government. And what? What is the status of the Artemis rocket? I want to welcome you to episode 1632 of the Geek News Central podcast for Thursday, November 10th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You, yes, you can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider with your $2, $4, $6, $8, $10, or $25 monthly donations, or just a one-time donation. Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to all the brand new listeners of the show. Thanks for being here. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content. Of course, follow or subscribe to the show. Get signed up for the newsletter. Those links are all available right on the webpage. This is the best way to stay connected. When you're signed up for the newsletter, you're going to get an email immediately following the show that contains everything that I've talked about today with all the links. And, of course, all that data is, again, available back at geeknewscentral.com. You should join our chat room. Mastodon is the newest thing, and I actually had to close automatic approvals. So if you come over to geeknews.chat and sign up on the Mastodon chat server of this show, I will approve you. Just go ahead and do it. But go over there and sign up today. It's not an open sign up anymore. Or you can join our Discord channel. That's a great way to stay connected as well. That's available. Link in the show notes. Of course, you can send me an email, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. I can be found at Geek News on Twitter. Of course, Todd Cochran on Facebook. All the partner shows, they're linked at geeknewscentral.com right at the top of the page, whether it is the new media show, whether it be the Pro Gear Guru site, whether it be the Gadget Professor with the Mr. Don Bain, or the GNC Weekend Review every Friday with Scott and Kirk. Check those shows out. They're all available for you to subscribe and get connected to. As a reminder, the studio design here is done by our good friends at audimute.com. Just throw a bonus in there once in a while from them, even though I don't have to. Continue to love what they've done here for soundproofing. But again, this show is sponsored by the longest-running continuous sponsor of a podcast, and that's our good friends at GoDaddy.com. You can save big money by going over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy and lock in those savings so that you do not have to pay premium dollars. Use my 30% off new product purchase code. That works for almost anything. Or if you're a brand new GoDaddy customer, there's two ways you can do this to save the most money. You can use that $4.99 for .com for new customers, or if you transfer in a new domain, again, it's a one-time promo code that can be used for the life of your account, or lock in $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain. Again, $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year of the free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain. And really, the main difference is between those two accounts is you don't have to worry about it being maintained, security, backed up, all that stuff. The economy hosting, you kind of got to set that stuff up extra. So definitely check those two out. Decide which service works best for you. Get your hosting account set up with a free domain name. Of course, you can do a free trial to GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal, business, or Business Plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. We want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. You can save large amounts of money, up to 94% on GoDaddy hosting accounts by using my promo codes. Again, I want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here of the show. Get over to the website at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. If you're watching the show live today, if you're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you may be, make sure you say hello. Hey, Toby, thanks for checking in. Appreciate that you're here. Thank you so much. So, on the last show, I've been hammering you guys pretty hard on this podcasting 2.0 value for value. And luckily, some of you are listening because we had 400 sats came in from user 5700615. You can, hey, if you're using Fountain, you can set your user information, okay? And we had about another 2,500 sats come in from another user. Again, don't know the user. It just has @user. In these apps, you can set your username and you can send a message. So don't be afraid to set a message. And a great way to play around with this is just go over and get yourself a GetLB account. The GetLB is the place where you can play around with Bitcoin and Satoshi. So definitely check it out. But again, Fountain is the app I'm recommending right now. Or you can go over to newpodcastapps.com. Over at newpodcastapps.com and check out all the great apps. The CurioCaster is becoming a pretty popular one. Podverse, you can watch this show live on Podverse and CurioCaster. So definitely check these all out. All these new apps, these new Podcasting 2.0 apps. More to come. Can't talk about that because I've been sworn to secrecy, but that's what's going on. If you value the show, feel free to send me a Satoshi donation. It's a micro donation. You can send $1, 50 cents, quarter. No charge to do so. If you want to send $5, you want to send $100, you can do that as well. As a reminder, I'm hiring a social media person at Blueberry Podcasting. If you're interested in that or know someone's looking for a job, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Arizona, and Colorado are the 5 states we're hiring out of. Just let me know. Been really looking at this van life stuff. The local dealer here in town had a couple of vans in the Class 5 vans in the parking lot. They're brand new, way more than I could ever afford. One was like 80 grand. The other one was like 155. So I told the salesman there, matter of fact, they had a used one in there a couple of months ago that would have been perfect. It was priced right. So he's going to be on the lookout for me. He knows what I'm looking for specifically. So if you know anybody that's getting out of the van life and wants to sell a van, homemade, few years older, diesel or gas, let me know. All right. I'm definitely on the hunt here for something because I think I'd like to start traveling a little bit, and I'd like to go to Florida and spend some time in Tampa with my daughter and not have to be in a hotel and, that type of thing. So let me know. Hey, also, if you're an aspiring podcaster, consider becoming part of the family here at the GNC Network. All you got to do is bring your voice. I take care of everything else. So let me know if you're thinking about that. Also, I've been kind of hitting on it a little bit here on this value for value. We definitely appreciate any donation that you make to the show. It goes right back into everything here, including the sponsorship money. It goes into paying the bloggers, goes paying insurance, keeping the lights on. Rent is going up, so I'm having an increase in rent costs. It's just, that kind of stuff. Anything you can do to help out is greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, so just wanted to get into the stack here of stuff that's happening. And really, this first one about Meta laying off more than 11,000 employees. It's the first mass layoff in the company's history. Now, if you think about this, no one says there's a recession. They don't want to use that word. But if everyone's losing money and laying people off, something is going on in a big way. Meta is reducing size of its workforce by 13% and letting more than 11,000 of its employees go. He announced the move in a message to employees. The job cuts will affect every organization in the company, though some will be impacted more than others. In addition, considering reducing the size of its team, the company is also cutting discretionary spending and extending its hiring freeze to the first quarter of 2023. And since it's planning to hire much fewer people next year, the recruitment team will be disproportionately affected by the layoffs. Whoa. He says he wants to take accountability for how Meta found itself in this position. Apparently, he made the decision to significantly increase Meta's investments following exceptionally large revenue growth in the height of the pandemic. Many people predicted that this would be permanent acceleration. Well, of course not. The U.S. government's spending money like a drunk sailor. And inflation is off. And inflation's up again today. They announced it again. So they're going to get severance pay worth 16 weeks of their 16 weeks of their base pay, plus 2 additional weeks for every year of service with no cap. Wow. Those also cover the cost of health care for employees and their families for 6 months. The company promised to help them find jobs by using an external vendor that will give them access to unpublished job listings, as well as to support employees on visas with a dedicated team of immigration specialists. So the H-1B workers will, yes, and they have a bunch of H-1B workers are going to be laid off. So should not come as a surprise here. But one thing it tells me is there's going to be an influx of available, fantastic talent potentially. But times are changing here, and in a big, big, big way, and we'll see what happens over all this. Amazon has lost, get this, they've lost $1 trillion in market value. It's a historic first. Now, this isn't the only company to lose value, but they've lost the most. So they had reached a high of $1.88 trillion in July of 2021, and they're down to $879 billion as of last Wednesday. That is amazing. And of course, it's because we all went back to work. Economy's tight, inflation's up, we're not spending very much money. So that's what it is. Everyone's tightened their belts up considerably. So $1 trillion in market value. That, ladies and gentlemen, is just absolutely insane. Talk about insanity. Apple has put a 10-minute, listen to this, Apple put a 10-minute cap on receiving airdrop transfers in China. They did not go in effect in any other place. Well, it limits the window of time a user can receive files via the airdrop from non-contacts to 10 minutes. Prior to this change, people could choose to get airdrops from everyone indefinitely. As the news organization notes, activists and protesters in China have been using airdrop as a way to circumvent the country's online censorship measures. It's widely used during Hong Kong pro-democracy protests to share images of police brutality. More recently, protesters have been using it to spread messages about opposing the Chinese government and denouncing Xi Jinping's rule. By limiting the everyone option, users are less likely to receive messages from random protesters. They will, after all, have to reactivate the option after a few minutes. So this isn't the first time Apple, in this case, has had to implement a restriction in China, exclusive to a certain region. And this is just kowtowing to the Chinese. They've been criticized in the past for implementing these rules, but that's just the way it is. Of course, Apple was previously accused of handing over some of its data centers in the country to Chinese authorities. And of course, more recently, the company told Taiwanese suppliers to ensure that parts bound for the mainland don't come with a Made in Taiwan label. Instead, their source should be noted as Chinese Taipei or Taiwan, China. So it just goes to show you what's going on here, okay? Hey, Jody. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Next up, NASA has left the Artemis rocket exposed to winds above design limits. So that Category 1 hurricane that just hit Florida resulted in Kennedy Space Center taking a hit because the intense winds from Nicole late on Wednesday night and Thursday morning extended way beyond the eye wall. And the National Weather Service, which hosts data from NASA sensors attached to the Launch Pad 3 lightning towers, basically they said that the readings were as high as 87 knots. Now, from public available data, it appears that the rocket was exposed, to wind gusts at above 74.4 for several hours. And those are purportedly above NASA's design levels. So we'll see. And if that 74.4 knot design limit hopefully has some margins built into it. Usually, it's about a 15%, wiggle waggle. So they're pretty close. But what's going on here is that they're still targeting a launch attempt at 1:04 a.m. on Wednesday, November 16th. So that's going to be one. If everything's going down, got a 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern on the 16th. What a horrible time for a launch, but I guess they've got to take what they can get here, right? KFC did something that is just crazy. Well, they apparently use a bot. The fast food chain sent app users in Germany a promotional push notification reading in part, treat yourself with more tender cheese on your crispy chicken on the anniversary of Christianal. And I don't even know how to pronounce that. Now, Christianal, and I apologize if I've pronounced that incorrectly, that is the anniversary of the coordinated anti-Jewish attacks by the Nazi party. And many consider that to be the beginning of the Holocaust. So this is crazy. They said it's Memorial Day for Krishna. Treat yourself. And then a notification came an hour later with apologizing for it. They blamed the initial offense alert on the semi-automated content creation process that's linked to a calendar of national holidays and observances. So someone's going to get fired over this one. That is for sure. And why would you let your bot do your automated social media? That is crazy. The Wall Street Journal, you know what? Today I got a bottle of water out. It's a Sam's bottle of water. And it tastes funny. First I took about 5 sips out of it before I was like, something's wrong with this water bottle. You ever got one like that where you're like, it tastes funny? It almost tastes like it was on the line when they clean the machine or something. I don't know. It's just a little weird, so I'm going to dump it after the show. Amazon is subjecting Alexa to a performance review. The Wall Street Journal reports that Alexa is one of the company's businesses under scrutiny. Well, apparently, the company's entire device unit has had an operating loss exceeding $5 billion in some recent years. They voiced support for the device, for the system, but didn't specify how things might change. Well, they've been selling their devices at a loss for a long time. So why should we be surprised at that losing money? But $5 billion? That's a whole nother number. It's pretty mind-boggling. It really, really is. Spotify starts testing its own payment on Android, and Bumble will do the same. Google's user choice billing pilot is now rolling out to some Android users, and a third-party billing option has expanded to the United States. So, crucially, Google still gets a cut of those payments under this new user's choice billing initiative, but in Spotify's words, it still represents progress toward greater platform fairness and expanded payment options. And now the streaming music service began actually testing user choice billing in select markets. None of you listen. One or two of you listen to the show on Spotify, so I'm not a big fan, as you can imagine. Tumblr will sell you 2 useless blue check marks for $8. Well, Tumblr's been enjoying a resurgence thanks to some recent policy changes and ongoing chaos at Twitter, according to this article. It's been fantastic for me. It's had great engagement because everyone's over there looking at stuff. And apparently it's drawn a few real-world celebrities like Ryan Reynolds and Linda Carter to the platform. Unlike most big social networks, though, Tumblr doesn't verify high-profile accounts. That caused a little confusion since without a link from some known off-platform account, it's almost impossible to tell if these accounts are real. Fortunately, Tumblr is rolling out a new feature that will do absolutely nothing to change this, and you can buy it for a one-time fee of $7.99, just like Twitter. All right. You can be an important person on the internet. No need to call. And you can get a blue check mark. A little snip there at Elon for sure. According to a lawsuit, Apple and Amazon conspired to raise iPhone and iPad prices. This is a class action lawsuit that has been filed in the U.S. District Court for U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington. It's being led by plaintiff Steve Floyd, who says he was denied the opportunity to buy an iPad more cheaply because of the situation. In the filing, he alleges an unlawful horizontal agreement between Apple and Amazon to eliminate or at least severely reduce the competitive threat posed by third-party merchants. The complaint claims the agreement was enacted from the start of 2019, the existence of which neither defendant denies, says the law firm. This allowed Apple to restrict the number of resellers on Amazon, and in turn, Apple gave discounted wholesale prices, or so the filing claims. If correct, this stifling competition would violate antitrust laws and mean consumers likely paid more for their gadgets. So we will see what happens here with this lawsuit. Be a good one to watch. According to The Verge, and boy, I tell you, the knives are out. Elon Musk is putting Twitter at risk of billions in fines, warns company lawyers. And you know, my Twitter follower count has went down. I don't think some people like the idea that I think that Twitter is actually being pretty productive right now. Meanwhile, Musk's personal lawyer is telling people Elon puts rockets into space. He's not afraid of the FTC. But anyway, it's all about the agreement with the FTC that Twitter reached. The FTC reached a settlement with Twitter in May after the company was caught using personal user info to target ads. If Twitter doesn't comply with that agreement, the FTC can issue fines reaching into the billions of dollars, according to the lawyer's note to employees. So apparently some people that have left are raising the alarm and, of course, calling them out, saying, oh, there's a big issue here. Well, we will see. Elon he's not too scared of the FTC. They did block new accounts from signing up for its $8 blue subscription because I hope people were doing impersonations, and they got their blue check marks by paying for the subscription service. So I had Twitter Blue, so my Twitter Blue doesn't end until November 28th. Then I guess I get the opportunity to pay $8. So we'll see. But one of the folks, a bunch of impersonators popped up the website, including one claiming to be LeBron James, who had 2 followers. He tweeted that the basketball star was requesting a trade. A fake Nintendo of America account tweeted a photo of Mario giving Twitter the middle finger, while a fake Valve account tweeted about a new competitive platform. Twitter started banning them after a few hours, but the new rule could help curb the number of fake accounts, but it's unclear how Twitter plans to address the issue going forward. It can't lock out new users of Blue forever. No, but give them some time, maybe. And also, Elon's thrown the hammer down. He's banned Twitter employees from working remotely. You know that was coming. He enforced similar policies at SpaceX and Tesla. And he says that they need to spend 40 hours a week in the office unless he gives express permission. That will probably get rid of another couple thousand workers right there. I would imagine there's going to be people that are going to say, oh, I don't want to go to the office anymore. But got that building, all that space. So we'll see what happens. We know that Twitter fostered remote work culture during the pandemic. It also instituted regular additional rest days for employees. That's all been axed. But what happens to those employees who have been working remotely that moved, that now have to be in the office? That's where the drama is going to happen. For those that moved, didn't tell them that they had moved, are now living in, out in some country place where the cost of living is nothing. Now they're going to have to be within commuting distance of their New York and California offices. So it'll be interesting here. At the same time, Elon's talking about launching a payment system for Twitter in a Spaces Q&A. It may get its own native payment system. They've already filed with the Treasury Department Financial Crimes Enforcement Network last week as part of the process you need to set up to start doing payment processing. So time will tell. Tesla's rival, Rivian, has posted losses $1.7 billion with worse to come. This is crazy. So $1.7 billion in quarter three. Although they said they have enough cash on hand for 3 more years of business. Wow, that's impressive. Rivian is working on plans to ramp up production at its plant in Normal, Illinois, where it's produced 7,363 vehicles in the third quarter. They said it's adding a second shift. The plant will put in place to meet its 25,000 vehicles, meet its goal of 25,000 vehicles produced in 2022. So I think it's a good time to actually buy Tesla stock. And a really strange one. NASA confirms underwater debris is from the 1986 Challenger explosion. A documentary crew discovered the wreckage while searching for a World War II aircraft. The tragic Challenger flight took off, of course, on January 28, 1986, and exploded 73 seconds into its journey with all 6 crew members killed. And these divers have found some sort of panels. It doesn't look like heat shield panels, but what are they going to do with this stuff? Divers working on the document noticed a large human-made object covered partially by sand. It had a modern construction, including 8-inch square tiles, commonly used in shuttles' thermal protection system. That tipped off the crew members that the wreckage may be NASA-related, and they contacted the space agency, looked over the footage, and confirmed its origin. NASA says it's considering what additional actions to take regarding the debris, because they already recovered a lot. This is something that they missed, and it would be easy to miss some debris. As I talked about earlier, Google's expanding its tests of Play Store billing alternative to the U.S., and Bumble and others are joining the pilot. Of course, Bumble is a dating app. Apple will spend $450 million with Globalstar and others to enable emergency satellite texting. So we kind of knew this was coming. The majority of that money will go to Globalstar, a Louisiana-based company that operates a satellite that makes the feature possible. So we knew in September that Apple announced emergency SOS with satellite as a banner feature on the new iPhone 14 models. If users are out of range of a cell tower, such as a remote area while camping, they still can connect to emergency services by pointing their phone in the sky and connecting to one of 24 Globalstar satellites in low Earth. It will launch later this month through an iPhone software update. The feature is free for 2 years, but Apple has left open the possibility of charging for it after that. The service is not entirely automated and requires human staff call centers. Over 300 Globalstar employees will work on the service, Apple said. So this is interesting. It's an example of also Apple showing how much they actually spend with U.S. vendors. YouTube Music and Premium soared to 80 million plus paid subscribers. The platform has added a whopping 30 million paying subscribers in just over a year. Yeah, we're all sick of the ads. We really are. I don't want to hear the ads on YouTube or listen or watch them. So a lot of people are coughing up $16.95 to not watch ads and listen to ads on YouTube. Disney now matches Netflix subscribers number across its combined services. But Disney's operating loss for streaming increased from $0.8 billion to $1.5 billion for the quarter, even though they've welcomed 12.1 million new subscribers for the company's fourth fiscal quarter. That's 3 million more than analyst estimates, and all Walt Disney added 14.6 million subscriptions for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, bringing its total number of streaming subscribers so far to 236 million, while Disney Plus alone, with its 164 million subscribers, have yet to reach Netflix numbers. All three of the company's services combine amass members that can rival the streaming giant. That's a pretty big number. It really is. Shows you how popular Disney products are. Single Hubble image captures supernova at 3 different times. An image taken in 2010 captured the lensed supernova, but no one noticed. But over the last few decades, we've got better at observing supernova. They're happening, and they just happened to notice this. And basically, it showed up in different parts of the sky because of, I guess it's something called lensing. And, but anyway, they found it. And, of going back and looking at stuff. It's pretty crazy that they're still going back and looking at data all the way back from 2010. Also, pays to be a little bit overweight sometimes. Over at theguardian.com, overweight neutron star defies a black hole, says astronomers. So that's interesting. An overweight neutron star was produced by the merger of two smaller neutron stars. Normally, such collisions result in neutron stars so massive that they collapse into a black hole almost instantaneously under their own gravity. But the latest observation revealed the monster star hovering in view for more than a day before it faded out of sight. Such a massive neutron star with a long life expectancy is not normally thought to be possible. It's a mystery why this one was so long-lived. The observation raised questions about the source of also raises questions about the source of incredibly energetic flashes known as short gamma ray bursts that accompany neutron star managers. These outbursts, the most energetic events in the universe since the Big Bang, were likely assumed to be launched from the poles of the newly formed black hole. But in this case, the observed gamma ray bursts must have emanated from the neutron star itself, suggesting that an entirely different process was at play. And let's be honest, we don't know half of this stuff, right? Of what's really happening out there. A lot of speculation. So anyway, this is going to bring me to the end of today's show. And of course, I got my Twitter feed up there. And I hope that you will consider, follow me on Twitter. Or better yet, becoming an insider at geeknesscentral.com/insider. Becoming an insider is a great way to support the show with your love and admiration. Because we need your support. We really do. I want to thank you all again, though, for your ongoing support of the podcast. Those of you that are current insiders, it is greatly appreciated with your $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, and $25 monthly donations. Those come in like clockwork, and it really goes a long way to helping us. So we do thank you for that. But give the gift of a cash donation or a value-for-value boost via one of the new podcast apps at newpodcastapps.com. You guys are going to get so tired of me telling you to go get one of those new podcast apps. You're going to be yelling at me soon. Now, let me be honest with you. We've got some of the most hardcore podcasters. They've been podcasting for many years. They're switching to these new apps. They're not the best experience yet, but guess what? Take some time, join the party, watch this evolution of what's going to happen to podcasting. All right, everyone, it's been my pleasure being the podcast. For some reason, I can't get this thing to fade to black. I haven't just taken the time to figure it out. But I hope that you'll, again, join me back here Monday. Can't believe it's November 10th already. We're like, a week and a half away from Thanksgiving? 2 weeks, I guess, exactly from today. So it's wild. It really, really is. So, but anyway, thanks for being with me. Thanks for being part of the family. And again, thank you for ongoing support. We'll see you next time here on the Geekness Center podcast. Everyone take care. Bye-bye.